Hey Sarthak, so here we are, yet another week, another episode. You wanna take a minute to, rant about your MacBook?
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe I was so dumb. I mean, I don't know if I was dumb or it was bad UX, but ultimately, I got a new phone
Mm-hmm.
and I switched out syncing in that,
Yeah.
and that switched out syncing in my MacBook because Apple is like sync everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know
Obsessed.
I didn't know it was two different settings, and then I saw like 500 GB of like stuff syncing to iCloud. I freaked out and I cancelled it, and then it deleted everything locally.
I know.
Yeah.
That was such a horrendous experience.
Yeah, and if you go online, many people have faced this. But yeah, that's the reason we didn't have an episode last week. That was on me. Even though we recorded, we did everything.
I know.
But the fun thing is, we have a new topic and everything new to record today, and we'll come back to that.
Exactly. Yeah. So coming to the episode, today we are doing tier ranking of like our favorite programming languages. And I know you're obsessed with like tier makers, right? Like you're a gamer, so you keep like watching tier makers all the time. So I think this will be like a really fun thing to do for us today.
Definitely. I mean, gaming and tier making goes together. Like Dota, Deadlock, everything I play has tier making in it. So yeah, I can't wait to get started.
Yeah,
We have a bunch of languages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is one rule. You cannot get hostile with me, even though my judgment is right and I am the better sibling.
As
You
long
cannot
as you
get
agree with
offended.
me, I will not get hostile. Otherwise, no promises. But let's make sure we ship whatever comes out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Okay, let's get started.
Oh wait, but what are we evaluating on?
Oh, yeah, I forgot that, right? So we are evaluating all of these languages on a few criterias. The first one being ease of learning. How quickly can you grasp on the language? The second one is a major one, which is real world usage, right? Like, is learning this language really going to help you in the real world? And the third one is basically the popularity or basically the resource availability for that language just to learn, and also kind of like the open source support you can get for the language to just ready-made stuff you can integrate, right?
Okay.
So these were the criteria I had in mind. Any last minute things you want to add on?
No, these are perfectly fine. I think debuggability also plays a point, like how easy is it to debug that language?
Yeah.
And from there we'll take it along and discuss on the way itself. Shall we start?
Yeah. So, let's start with Java.
Yes. And for folks who don't know, Java is my primary language, so I'm gonna be a bit biased,
Yeah.
but for good reason.
Yeah.
So shall I go first?
Uh-huh.
According to me, I would want to place Java in love it.
Okay.
Okay. So the reason being, and of course this goes without saying, but I'm talking about Java 17 and above.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I think that's applicable to all the languages we'll discuss. Like everything is like the recent one, not like the ones they
not
get
judging
hate
them
for.
on the past, on the current
Yeah.
things. So I think Java has really matured as a language. Usage after so many years has only been increasing for Java. Like I have seen companies that started in some direction and actually switched back to Java, given its stability and open source availability. You mentioned a bunch of reasons.
Yeah.
I really believe Java ticks all of them.
Yeah.
Ease of coding, debuggability, open source support, everything, right? So
Yeah.
for me, it's love it, but I'd love to hear your opinion.
I think Java for me is also love it. I don't get to code in Java as much, but I do love it as a language. I think it was one of the first few languages I started with. Oh, I forgot one criteria that I really wanted to add, which was lead codability of a language, right?
Definitely, yeah.
So yeah, even when you evaluate that, even for like things like competitive programming and other things, Java is like really good for interviews and everything. It really gives you that fundamental course. So I'm okay putting it love it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So since we are not arguing much about it, so this one is a mutual decision. Love it. Yeah.
Next we have C++,
yeah,
which is my primary language.
Yeah.
So pure bias.
Purely coincidental that these were the first two languages. We had no idea.
We had no idea.
Yeah.
Okay. So C++ is love it for me because again, ease of learning is great. Resource availability, really great. Real world usage. For like things where you have like where you need control of your own memory and where you are like really on those native systems, C++ has not been displaced in like years, right? It has still remained like the primary language there. I think the only challenge that people usually find is the memory management part, but I love that. So
yeah, for me it's more of a like it, and you loving that is fine.
Yeah.
But I just see like things that modern languages offer, like C Sharp, Java, of that garbage collection. I feel like that is an experience which enhances developer experience, right? So I feel like that kind of puts me in. Let me put it in the like it spot.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think about that?
So I think the garbage collection part definitely matters, but that's the thing, right? It's also the application of the language. Like places like where, say, you're running code on a DPU, for example, right? You have limited memory, you have limited space. So in
embedded systems,
basically, in those situations, you kind of need that niched control over your memory, right? So that is the advantage that C++ has over there. Otherwise, obviously, like in your day-to-day work, you would memory.
I get it. I think that I can agree on.
Yeah.
I think basically if you want to actually do that in use cases where they are there, it can actually become hard with Java or languages that don't allow you to manage memory on that level. And I think that's why we don't see Java on embedded systems that much. Right. It is still there for sure, but it's not the like when you have like 2 MB RAM, 3 MB RAM in those kind of devices, IoT. So I think we can place it in love it. It's not a personal contest. It's not like your C++ is paying you.
It's not, but it's like a personal bias.
Yeah. All right. Next up is Python. Yeah.
You go ahead.
So Python, I feel, falls into the bucket for me. So I see there are like two kind of languages. One that are strictly typed. They want you to be able to define everything at compile time.
Right.
And second is loosely typed language, where they want to make sure it runs no matter what you write. They'll try their best to run it without comparison failure. I think Python falls right in the middle of those, right? It's not very loose, but it's not very strict also with any types and all that. I really like the syntax of it. In general, it's very flowy. I really hate the fact that space is used as indentation there, because that can get a bit wonky and take some time to get used to.
Yeah.
Again, real world applications are there. I think I'm gravitating towards like it. The only reason I'm not giving love it is because of the syntax reading and everything. I don't really, if you have a very nested structure, that space thing can get really murky for me.
We prefer our languages strictly typed.
Yeah, we prefer our languages constrained in braces. Right? So, what do you think?
I think I agree for the most part, actually. Yeah. Python is also like it for me. I think it's very convenient for scripting, web dev, servers, spinning up like quick web servers and things like that. So, but yeah, again, the syntax and just it being a little loosely typed kind of like puts me off. That is why I never really gravitated towards Python. What do you think about the lead codability of the language?
Lead codability is definitely there. I think it's actually easier to solve problems, but that's a double-edged sword, because sometimes wrongly only, but interviewers have a bias against Python developers that hey, you're taking the easy way out by using Python. Should not be the case, but it is the reality of the world. So that actually is another reason why I would put it to like it instead of love it. What do you think?
I agree with like it. Let's do like it.
Okay, so Python goes to like it.
JavaScript.
Yes. I'll let you go first.
JavaScript is meh for me.
Okay.
Because, I mean, it obviously did a lot of things. It kind of like made its way into web dev like really fast. And, you know, so many of like huge popular web applications are running on JavaScript. It's just the syntax and, you know, just I don't see a lot of flexibility with JavaScript. That's my issue with JavaScript.
I see. I mean, I'm surprised you say that, because flexibility is like the norm of JavaScript, right?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, but it can get, JavaScript code can get messy, I think. That's my whole...
yeah, but then that is because it offers flexibility, right?
Then my phrasing was incorrect. But the problem is that it gets messy.
Yeah, I agree, actually. And I think JavaScript came at a time, I definitely think it revolutionized web dev.
For a fact,
it brought server-side, client-side scripting to the world, and it got really famous really fast. But that does lead to some decisions in recent JavaScript which kind of made it really hard to determine how the program will execute, right? Like if you see a piece of code in Java, Python, you can at least determine theoretically this will be the output. But in JavaScript, that's hard. And I'll give you an example. There are so many forms of null in JavaScript. There is NaN,
Yeah.
then there is null,
Yeah.
then there is string null. So that is an example of a language that based on flexibility is sacrificed like predictability.
Right.
Right. So for application wise, I would actually put it in like it.
Yeah.
But because of these issues, it becomes meh for me.
Yeah.
Right.
So also when we're talking about JavaScript,
Mhm.
are we including, because a lot of stuff JavaScript cannot inherently do, right?
Mhm.
So when you were talking about JavaScript, did you mean like all the jQuery and all those stuff included?
I do, yeah. So I think those things are open source. There's no, until unless it comes with a license, which is restrictive, I think we should include it as part of language.
Okay, yeah.
Right,
then
and jQuery comes with a free license, like you don't even have to attest or anything.
Yeah.
So that can be our direction here, right? If it is a non-restrictive license, it can be considered part of the language because it's the developers only maintaining it.
Yeah.
Okay, next up is PHP. And I already see you smiling.
Cancel. PHP is cancel for me.
Cancel.
There'll be no explanation. There'll only be cancellation.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give one line. So I think once MVC structure came and front end back end became separate,
Yeah.
I think the popularity of keeping your front end and back end code mixed in one file just died down.
Yeah.
Right. And I know that PHP is still used widely. Like I still go to government websites, both in India and in US. And I see PHP extensions and I cringe. Like,
Yeah.
it's 2024, guys.
Yeah. Also, if
Yeah.
I'm taking an interview and you start writing PHP, I'll probably like reject you because boy, you probably need to like upgrade your skills.
I mean, if someone starts solving lead code in PHP, I will actually hire the guy for that. Making the problem extremely difficult for no reason and then solving it. Okay, so.
That is one way to look at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, next up, C#.
C# is also kind of like one of my primarily languages,
Mhm.
primary languages.
Primary
brain
language.
fart, sorry.
Yeah.
C# is like it for me,
Mhm.
right? Ease of learning is great. It's kind of like, the language is kind of like if Java and C++ overlapped themselves.
Mhm.
Ease of learning is fine.
Mhm.
Resource availability is great. Applications, you would think like only Microsoft uses it, but no,
Mhm.
a lot of game engines, Unity game engine is actually written in C#.
Yeah.
Pokemon Go was
Mhm.
built on that, right? So real world applications are also there. The only reason I don't love C# is the dependency on like the whole .NET framework and .NET core infra, right? Like the NuGet backward compatibility, it becomes very taxing as a developer to figure out those things. So that's the only reason why it's in like it for me and not love it. Otherwise,
So
it's great.
You're basically saying that .NET framework is dragging it down.
Yeah.
But is C++ C# used without it also?
You can, but I think the whole sort of infra is like kind of tied to that. So
I
not
see.
really.
Okay.
You won't be able to do much with it.
Okay, so that's like can I compare it to Spring in Java? Like,
Yeah.
if you want to do something very meaningful or like at least a web server
Yeah,
level.
you either need to take
Hmm.
dependency on .NET framework or .NET
Yeah,
core.
otherwise
And
you're just basically writing
yeah,
boilerplate, which already is at stable stage in a lot of
Exactly.
packages. Got it, yeah.
yeah.
C# I don't have much of experience with,
Mhm.
but I do agree. I think C# kind of came in when C++ does oops,
Yeah.
but it doesn't do oops to 100%,
Mhm.
right? I think that's encapsulation and some stuff
Yeah.
is still not there
Mhm.
clearly in C++, which kind of brings C# into the picture. Doggy is going wild.
But it's like my favorite language is the Borks.
Yeah, Bork.
Bork.
Yeah. So C# for me goes in meh because mostly I don't like think more about it. More than that, I don't have any use case for it. But I think you're convinced. Whatever you said, I'm okay with putting it in like it. Like that sounded like really good to me.
Okay, like
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Say whatever, say it with confidence.
No, I think it made sense.
Of course,
Yeah.
it do make sense. Rust.
Yeah, it's my favorite video game. But this is not the same Rust.
Rust, the programming language.
Yeah, this is Rust, the programming language.
Yeah.
So yeah, you go first.
Rust is like it for me.
Mhm.
Because I think, like I was saying earlier, there was for a long time C++ was the only language you could think about writing embedded system code in. But I think Rust has become sort of like this new language which covers up the drawbacks of C++, right? The memory management and all those things. So that is why you also see it growing really fast. Again, ease of learning is great. It's pretty convenient to write and everything. So yes, Rust goes in like it for me. The only reason it's not in love it is because I just don't have enough experience with it to like really comment on like all its cons.
Yeah. I'm very divided on Rust. I'm actually hovering between love it and meh, which is like a big window to
the hovering between love it and meh is like it.
Yeah, because I have read, if you go to Rust's homepage, you will think that they have invented the best language ever. Okay, like they're very, very clear cut on what they wanted and what they want to do. I have tried to learn Rust.
Yeah.
I did struggle with it a little bit, maybe just because I'm so used to Java and like any new language feels like Greek and Latin to me.
Yeah.
But I do like that I think they also compile directly to like they directly interact with the system, right? They're not like a virtual machine like Java, right? They're like C++. So I do like that there's at least a language that has been able to disrupt that space, because C++ has dominated that space for so long, right? Like not many languages have come, many languages have gone, but so I think that kind of makes me think Rust can be like it for me.
Yeah. So we agree then.
Yeah. I think I took a long winding road to disagree with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Ruby.
Yeah. So
I love it for the logo actually.
Yeah, one of the best logos here.
Yeah.
More creative than the others. Yeah. I love Ruby. Okay. So I enjoy, I use Ruby for my personal projects, specifically static site generations. I think it's easy to learn. It's one of the best scripting languages there. There's always a competition between Python and Ruby for scripting, and I always go in the direction of Ruby.
Right.
So for me, it's love it. We can discuss more, but I want to hear your first opinion.
I think I agree with that. I think Ruby is just way more exciting to write than Python. I don't know if this is like a personal opinion or whatever, but
I mean, it's a personal bias list. So.
Yeah. It's our favorite program.
Yeah, our favorite. This is why we added the R.
Yeah. So I mean, Ruby is more exciting to write. It's flexible, and I think even with the real world usage of it, Ruby on Rails also disrupted web development space, right? It's like literally used everywhere if you see in a lot of places. So yeah, I agree with the love it part. Not much more to add there actually.
Okay, so let's just put it in love it.
Yeah.
Next up is TypeScript.
Yeah.
You go first.
TypeScript is like it for me.
Okay.
I think TypeScript is just what you it makes up for what you don't like about Java. Right? It gives JavaScript, right?
I was just thinking, what?
It makes up like for what you lack in JavaScript, and it brings that strongly typed structure to JavaScript, much more easier to write things, right? So I like TypeScript. What about you? I spent a lot of time in college writing TypeScript.
I love TypeScript. Okay. So I think what you said in it is of course valid.
Yeah.
I really think whatever we said about JavaScript being meh, it really improves upon it. It makes it a bit strongly typed. It is able to hide a lot of things that JavaScript does, even though it transpiles into JavaScript.
Exactly.
Right. And that is great to me. Right. I personally enjoy writing web dev front end React code in TypeScript, and React is another example of a framework that is available to you that can do so much in UI. I think React definitely. We had this, I don't know if maybe you were too young. I'm 2 years older than you, so I have like so much more experience than you. Of course. Yeah. Okay. So, but there was this sling of web dev frameworks in the 2010s, and there was Node.js. All of them are still used today, but React kind of defined MVVC apps, and it led to these complicated UIs being seamlessly working. And the major problem in these things was that once these websites, web apps grow to a certain size, it's very hard to make a new thing without breaking others. Right. React kind of solved it. Yeah. And with React Redux, it becomes even better if you have used Redux. I'm not sure. So TypeScript definitely goes in love it for me. I think there's a lot of community around writing good TypeScript also. I really love the TypeScript community also. They're really, really... Most of them are polite.
Yeah. Okay. And also like I think, what was the thing we were looking at the other day online? Bhailang? That was over TypeScript, right? Or
yeah, that was transpiling to TypeScript or JavaScript, one of them. Yeah. So maybe we should have rated Bhailang also.
Love it.
Okay, so that goes in. Are you okay with it being love it? Are you convinced or?
Yeah, the whole 1 minute rant was sufficient enough. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Next up is C.
C is meh for me.
Okay.
Because I think so. As a language, I think it was great for OOPS concept and everything.
I don't think it had OOPS concept. Oops, C++ came
C++
because...
came with oops. See, I don't even remember C anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think after C++, nobody gives a damn about C.
Yeah.
And poor C, sorry, but that's what you are now.
Yeah. I agree. C++
Yeah.
kind of is what C wasn't. So
Yeah.
C, that kind of makes C irrelevant.
Yeah.
The reason I still added it in the list here is because it is still used,
Yeah.
right, widely. And a lot
Yeah.
of systems, they don't want to migrate or they're just continuing using
Yeah.
C.
Actually,
For
I changed
me,
my
it's-
stance. C is U for me.
Yeah, I was just going to say C is U for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess that makes it easy. I was just starting my 1 minute rant of convincing you why I think it's U.
I changed my stance. Like,
Yeah.
it's like you now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next up is Go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
My personal experience with Go
Hmm.
was like when I did not really spend time learning Go or something.
Hmm.
One time I was taking an interview
Mhm.
and the person came in. I
Huh.
gave them a lead code problem. They
Mhm.
start writing Go. And my first thought is like, bro, why are you writing English? Can you please write code? But then I went
Yeah.
back, I learned Go
Mhm.
and I was like, okay, it's so simple to learn.
Yeah.
So Go is like it for me.
Mhm.
Because yeah, I really had a really easy time learning it.
Mhm.
Again, real world usage, I think that is also a language that has picked up
Mhm.
very fast. It was made by Google, so
Yeah.
I think
Mhm.
that plays a part. But Kubernetes and stuff is being written in Go, and
Yeah. Mhm.
even like the libraries and stuff, pretty easy to find. So Go is an like it for me. What about you?
Same. I think Go definitely, apart from all that,
Hmm.
the reason I'm putting it in like it is
Hmm.
Go actually. So, how do I start on this particular path? Okay, yeah. So languages always are formed to solve a purpose.
Hmm.
Like Java invented to solve the platform, cross-platform running, right? That you should code once, run everywhere.
Right.
So every language has a philosophy behind it, and I think Go is one of those recent languages that actually had a good philosophy behind it and not a bogus one, which was concurrency, right? Go is built from scratch to handle concurrency, and I think that is required because if you see Java, I'm not sure C# and C++, but maybe they are also similar.
Yeah.
Concurrency is good. I'm not denying it, but it's not built into the language. You have to actually understand it, and then
Right.
it's not intuitive,
Right.
right, is what I'm trying to say. But Go definitely does that better. So yeah, it's a like it for me also, but I will also add that reason for me it to be a like it
I think
for
that's a very strong point to add,
me.
actually.
Yeah, I think it's almost love it for me. The only reason is not...
Can you put it like between two places?
Yeah, I mean, I actually found Go a bit hard to learn. Okay, maybe just again because my
This is
Java
your
experience.
personal dumbness,
Yeah.
which we don't account for here.
Okay. Next up is Kotlin.
Kotlin, I don't have much experience with.
Mhm.
Also, I think it's kind of...
Do you want me to go first then?
Yeah.
It's U for me. Okay, U and meh is what I'm thinking. I'm not sure yet,
Okay.
but nothing more than that. Okay. Definitely not cancel. So Kotlin came as this replacement for Java, like that we'll compile to the same JVM, we'll run in the same JVM, but
see.
we'll do better Java.
I see.
Okay, but I have seen so many examples. Oh, what happened to this dog? Okay, I have seen so many examples of companies taking the step to migrate off of Kotlin when they hit scale.
Yeah.
Okay, which is just disappointing, right? And
Right.
I have personally used Kotlin.
Huh.
I think it has now settled into this particular gap where it's only used for Android apps because that's where it found its
Yeah.
footing.
I mean, that's the only context I have heard about Kotlin. And
Yeah,
like
it never was able to
yeah.
displace Java, right? Initially, there was a lot of hype. There's still hype, but it's been years now and there's no displacement happening at all,
Yeah.
right? So it's, I mean, you can describe and then we'll decide where to place it. I'm between you and me.
Yeah, I think just for the look, so I tried learning Kotlin once. I got bored. So ease of learning wasn't that great for me. And then I think even the real world usage, like you said, right, it doesn't scale as well as Java, and it has like found its place in the niche Android development place. So just for those two things, I think I'll give it like a U.
Okay, so we'll move it to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up is Haskell.
Yeah, you said.
Haskell is tough to learn. Okay.
Very, very strictly typed.
Very, very strict. If you can
As
get it to
strictly
compile, you
typed,
feel like
yeah.
an achievement,
Yeah,
right?
as strictly typed as they
Yeah.
come. Yeah.
But I do think that, so another thing to call out here is that Haskell is a functional programming language,
yeah.
more of like JavaScript.
Right.
But JavaScript does not do truly functional to the level how Haskell does.
it.
And I have always been a fan of functional programming from a hobbyist point of view.
Yeah.
I've never been able to find a actual real world use case for it.
Right.
But from a hobbyist point of view, I really like functional programming.
Yeah.
Okay, better than OOPS actually. I think it's much more efficient to write. So it's a meh for me because I think it has future potential, but right now it is still it's a hobbyist language.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's your opinion?
I think I agree with that. Haskell is also meh for me. Because I don't really have spent enough time ever to go to like even consider moving it to the like it space. But I think Haskell also is used in like embedded system programming and other things.
It is,
right?
but it has not found a foothold, right?
Yeah.
It has been pitched, and I think that's where it is eventually settling.
Yeah.
But it is also used in high mathematical computations.
Yeah.
But that's also a theoretical field.
Yeah.
Maybe AI scientists are using it and we don't know.
Yeah.
So all that is proprietary anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll go for meh for me. So meh is fine, right?
Yeah, I think meh is fine.
Yeah. Last up is Apple Swift.
Apple Swift
Took me a while actually. I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is cancelled for me.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
solely for the reason like when there are like so many languages available to you, why would you make a specific programming language just to write iOS apps? And
Yeah.
what would I do with it if I'm not making iOS or macOS apps, right?
Yep. I mean, and the thing that irks me
Yeah.
is they built their OS on Unix core. That
They
means
had so much.
they could have used
They
any
could have
language
literally
they
done
want,
anything.
but then they did this.
Yeah.
So I totally agree. I think
Yeah.
Swift was what Kotlin did to Android, Swift did to iOS. But Kotlin allowed other Java to exist.
They did not like shun other languages.
And Kotlin, the difference is Kotlin runs on JVM, so it's not
Yeah.
a new technology. But
Yeah.
they just had to create a walled garden in this also.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it goes in cancel for me unless it ends up doing something really remarkable in the future. I don't think anybody outside of iOS is even using Swift, which is really sad for a language.
Yeah.
Right. Language should be agnostic of the platform, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah, I think that wraps it up.
So it looks like a very
Top
balanced list. Top heavy also, but like even the bottom tiers are like kind of like they feel balanced.
True. Yeah. But I like our results. I think we're pretty positive people that we have so much love it and like it. But I guess they're great programming languages, right? They serve their purpose. Yeah. And if you actually look at the first two columns, there's such a unique set of languages. They all solve their own purpose. And I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
If they if they're built on a strong premise, they end up taking a place. Otherwise, they just kind of bob around.
Exactly.
Right? So,
right? That is so well put. And I'm so glad we did not like become hostile because I was really scared of shooting
I know, right?
this
It was
episode.
actually very, very like pavam, for a lack of better word. Yeah, but yeah, it's nice. I think we think alike in programming in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Any last thoughts? Or
No,
we close
I'm
it
good.
up?
Yeah.
Okay. Let us know if you liked our tier list. Let us know what your favorite languages are, and let us know if you agree or disagree with us. And we'll see you next week with another episode. Do like, share, and subscribe. Bye bye.